I'm not making noise, man.
No.
Hey! Looks like he's in the middle of it now. Oh no, the bloody height difference, man. Wait, one sec.
Oh no.
Can you move over to the left?
There's a desk there.
Is there a desk there? Oh, that's sit on your lap.
I mean, maybe we're a little bit tight and squeezed today.
A little bit cramped, yeah. But I'll get you. Don't worry, I'll get you a drink, mate. Oh. Are you in the face?
Kate's kicking off.
I'm so sorry. I didn't.
Kate's like, leave my dad alone.
I was like, sorry, I'll just get you a drink. I was going to crack open your beer for you.
Leave my dad alone.
That's not what
Kate, it's okay.
Well, yeah, welcome to a live recording of a Wiki Weekends on a Monday. You know, it makes perfect sense, right?
Weekdays, but I mean, to be fair, I haven't got a separate logo for the Wiki Weekdays podcast.
Yeah, we didn't get our
because, you know, we didn't make the assets. We got someone talented to make those.
Yeah, so that's Pensheet Arts on Twitter. You can find them there. But yeah, we're recording an episode of Wiki Weekends live, so we're going to open with like the preamble of like, thank you first of all if you're watching this.
Hell yeah.
The Wiki Weekends idea was your idea, Lucas, initially from the podcast like 3 years ago.
It was not really like, I wouldn't really say it was either of our ideas.
It was a combination of both our ideas.
Because it was just kind of something that happened on the podcast, on the Karl's Corner podcast.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of just like grown from there, and we decided, decided a while back, to be fair, to make it its own channel, but then like life got in the way.
It did, yes.
And it's been a while, but yeah. Basically, we're here now, and we are thankful for everyone that's coming in to join and subscribed already and stuff. Like, we've had a better than expected launch, I'd say.
Yeah, we're already up to the point where we'll be able to monetize the new channel, so that's really exciting. So hopefully we'll be able to do that within the next couple of days. But we just thought, we're here recording in person, let's record a episode live, because like, what better opportunity to test out the new format than there is to just do an episode of Wiki Weekdays live. But
I like that when I'm trying to like get the chat up, it's only letting me put above where our faces are. But oh well, it's all going well, and hopefully that works okay for you, Karl. So
yeah, I can see the chat. I can see the chat. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
The only thing that's throwing me off is that I'm slightly to the right.
I mean, you're the one that made the camera like that, so you did angle the camera.
I did. I don't want to touch it. I'm not going to touch the camera. I'm just going to try and lean in as much as I can. But are you ready to do the first live record? Oh yeah, first of all, I'm Karl.
Lucas. Hello.
And we have the gimmick of which wiki won this week, and we don't know what each other's going to do, so we flip a coin.
Karl, what does your t-shirt say?
It's possum. The anxiety possum. Oh.
Just anxiety.
It's the anxiety possum. It's like, you know what creature is more anxious than the possum?
I don't know. I'll tell you right here, Karl.
Yeah, I'll sit a bit further back.
This animal.
We took your dog for a walk earlier, and you were wearing a shirt with your dog on it, and I'm wearing my Hawaiian shirt. And we just look like absolute fucking dons.
Yeah, this is Cade. This is my dog on my Hawaiian t-shirt or Hawaiian shirt. I need to get more of them made.
Yeah, this is possum. This is the anxiety possum.
Yeah, I was a big fan when I met with you the other week and just saw your anxiety possum shirt. I was like, that's excellent.
It was like, you know what this is? This is a shirt to wear on dates. It's going to set the mood.
I have many trilbies. I don't have any fedoras, I believe. But I do have a collection of trilbies.
Maybe we can wear one of them afterwards. Q&A. Because we will close off with Q&A and just round out about the channel and stuff. But
we will.
Are you ready to go? Do you want to go for rock, paper, scissors, maybe?
I want to go for a coaster on my desk first.
Okay.
Because I'm getting anxiety about that.
Should go rock, paper, scissors. Yay! Okay, I'll go first. So people, audio listeners, we did scissors, scissors, rock. That was me who did scissors. I'm going to win this one. So.
Oh, that's a good point. Hang on. Before we do this, I'm going to start recording it separately.
For the audio, for people.
For audio.
Okay.
So I'm going to get it and I'm going to also turn the background music off, so it'll be nice and clean for audio and stuff.
Excellent. Great idea.
Just so that, we don't have this random shit going on for...
Yes, because we will ultimately be making a playlist on Spotify and stuff. So you better download this podcast and listen to it when you're traveling around, I suppose.
So just 1 second where we can just wiggle a little bit on a chair.
Crack our knuckles, all that stuff. Ah, so
No,
welcome.
we naturally need a few seconds silence of us
Okay.
moving on the chair. There we go. That'll help the audio. Just for anyone that doesn't understand what I was after there.
Yeah, you to get rid of like background noise, you have to be silent, say for the regular ambient noise that you'd have like naturally, like creaking of a chair,
A little bit
wind
creaking or whatever.
outside, your washing machine on downstairs, your neighbour like running a Hoover or something.
Cade barking in the background because Karl was assaulting me with bottle caps.
Yeah, so when you activate just the general cleanup thing that happens automatically when you do your audio, it can just be more easily like just put that stuff out for.
You did already miss the crack open of the cider.
That was, yeah, unfortunately. You also missed like the clean ass headshot I pulled off. But yeah, welcome audio listeners to another episode of Wiki Weekdays with me, your host Karl, and my co-host
Lucas, who's about to take a drink. Hello.
Yeah. And today we don't know what each other's talking about. We are in person, yes.
We are indeed. So apologies if like the audio's slightly more like echoey or something. Just one of those of like we're recording in one room with with a single mic, so we've had to turn it up a little bit and just like it might be a bit more sensitive to background noise or a bit of echo or what. So, apologies for the audio quality, but it does mean that we get to be together in the same room,
which means that we can talk about what I can see your live reactions to. Because prior to starting recording, we did do rock paper scissors, which I won. I'm going to start, and my wiki for this week, Lucas, is the wiki entry on Wikipedia. And as always, the link to the wiki I'm reading from can be found below. Not for people watching live, but for people listening after the fact. The United Kingdom parliamentary expenses scandal.
Oh,
so
I was looking forward to like a beer and some excitement. And Carl's like, how about the downfall of our country?
So, for Americans listening, or perhaps like English people listening who just like block this period out of their life, there was a huge scandal a few years ago, and it turns out, like, who would have thunk it? All of our MPs are corrupt as fuck.
Politicians, Karl, corrupt.
Politicians abusing their power for for their own ends. But it was, I think the reason I wanted to cover this is one, it's very funny, and two, I think it highlights just the absolute disdain the ruling class in the UK has for the common man, because some of the examples of the things that MPs claimed for were actually ridiculous. Like there were MPs, like as we're probably going to cover in a bit, who like claimed things like 5p back that they put into a charity box, so and so. But so we're all on the same page.
And on the one that I remember, the duck moat. But anyway,
the duck moat.
I will clarify that like Karl and I are both very northern and very anti-Tory people. So if that's triggering for you, I guess don't listen to this one.
Both very, very working class. Like I grew up in a colliery town, so fuck Maggie Thatcher and all that good stuff. But for anyone who's maybe not familiar,
we're literally recording this in Liverpool, like the city of fuck the Tories.
Oh, but so we're all on the same page. The United Kingdom parliamentary expenses scandal was a major political scandal that emerged in 2009, concerning expenses claims by members of the British Parliament, both the House of Commons and the House of Lords, over the previous years. The disclosure of widespread misuse of allowances and expenses permitted members of Parliament aroused widespread anger among the UK public. It was on a large number of resignations, sacking, deselections, and retirement announcements, together with major public apologies and the repayment of some expenses.
And what year did this take place?
2009.
Yeah, because this was I'm like 92 baby myself, and I remember this being like roughly the time that I was able to start voting and thinking more politically, and like, oh yeah, okay, I kind of roughly knew politicians were bad, because you kind of get grown up in Britain. A lot of people tell you that, especially working class families will tell you that. But like, yeah, that just coming out just before at the age of voting, and I'm like,
and that's thing about it really did just highlight how bad it is. So we have here, background and legal proceedings. In the United Kingdom, MPs can claim expenses, including the cost of accommodation, wholly exclusive and necessarily incurred for the performance of a member's parliamentary duties. You don't think anyone's going to complain about it. It's like you're an MP, like you might represent, say, Liverpool, but you might have to conduct business in London. So like claiming expenses back on stuff like staying in a hotel, train fare. It's like, I had to travel here. I used a train to get here. I will claim that back on my business expenses. Big Wangs Incorporated, let's go.
Yeah, and I think it's fair enough that like if you are, an employee that's required to do things like commute and go and stay in hotels overnight and things like that, that should be expensed by the company, but the issue being here that this is like
They're paid-
taxpayer money.
It's taxpayers' money. Also, as well, that most MPs are pricks. I
Yes.
always refer to that amazing bit in Ali G in the House, where Ali G, the film's about, it's a Sacha Baron Cohen film, what Americans are more familiar with is like Borat persona. Well, he has a persona of like working class, like white gangster character,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like gets corralled into being an MP by Charles Dance of all people. It's like, so you ever thought about being a member of Parliament? It's like, why would I do that? They're all pricks. And Charles Dance asks him, well, I'm an MP. Do you think I'm a prick? He's like, yeah. And he's like, that's it.
Yeah.
So we have here.
Also, just one thing for the sake we're doing live stuff is like, if you have any questions, we are going to round out with like Q&A and chat and stuff. So
yeah,
like,
we'll stick around for about an hour.
we
or so.
will explain everything going on and anyone else who has questions later on. But for now, we're just worrying about like having a fun podcast.
It's not going to be fun, mate. In January.
Later, maybe I can bring up the mood with mine.
In January 2005, the Freedom of Information Act 2000 came into force, allowing members of the public to request disclosure of information from public bodies. One early request came from journalist John Unged Thomas. Another request came from journalist and Freedom of Information campaigner Heather Brooke. Both asked for details of the expenses claimed by certain MPs to be released. The request was subsequently passed over to the Information Commissioner, who joined the journalist cases together and ordered the release of some information. The House of Commons authorities objected to this order for reasons that will become abundantly clear in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, like, it's weird, isn't it, when politicians all of a sudden like don't want their business to be public,
Well,
even though,
Lucas.
you know, they are public servants.
No, Lucas is like, they have it here, look. The House of Commons authorities objected to this order in 2007, and MPs had, in May, a vote in favour of the Freedom of Information Amendment Bill, which sought to exempt MPs from the Act. The House of Commons voted 96 to 25 in favour of the exemption.
So not only is it like, please show us how corrupt you are, it's like, we don't want to. But also we're going to try and change the law to make sure we don't have to.
And this is why this story is so hilarious. It's so nakedly transparent what they were trying to do.
And doesn't this feel exactly like what happened now and 2 years ago and 3 years ago and 4 years ago? Like, it's just on a loop.
So it says here that the bill was ultimately withdrawn prior to a second reading in the House of Lords because peers were unwilling to sponsor the bill. In February 2008, after referral to an information tribunal, it was held that the Commons authorities would have to release the information of 14 MPs. The decision was subsequently appealed against. Again, why? As you said, the literal job title is public servant using public money.
That's the thing, right? Because, you know, if someone was like, well, I paid for a hotel and a meal deal and a couple of drinks at the bar while I was down in London to go do my job, fair enough. So I think that's all it could be, right?
Yeah, so basically what they did is they, like, you know, just flip-flopped in court for a year and a half until a newspaper just, like, paid for information to get leaked. So we have pre-publication controversy. So prior to the Daily Telegraph's revelations in May and June of 2009, so that's when they got their leaks, the official publications of expenses claimed in June 2009 in the Freedom of Information cases, there were a variety of exposés that covered the controversial John Lewis list, a list considered to indicate the amounts that could be claimed without question. That was like a thing. But would you like to hear like a couple of examples?
I mean, I just want to get to the point where, like, reasonably, the list of things that should, like, go without question is like a £5. Anything under a £5.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like you know, I've been told this, like when for my business for travel. It's like no one's gonna sniff at like 50 quid for travel, like here and there for a train ticket, because that's what a train ticket costs. If you start trying to put through £5,000, they'll start to query it. But like, it's this thing of like, it's not worth the cost it'd be to investigate to give you these amounts.
Like, why all of a sudden have you got £200 worth of travel this month? It's like, probably because they got a couple of train tickets to London, it's fine. Like, you're wasting time by checking every single receipt.
So here's the thing about this is why they have those lists, but like the amounts were quite extreme. But we have a few examples here. Tony Blair, former Prime Minister's expenses were shredded by mistake when they were the subject of a legal bid to have them published.
It's funny that like they happen to get shredded by mistake, but also just at the right time as well.
By mistake, Conservative Derek Conway was alleged in May 2007 to pay his son, a student at the time, using public funds despite little evidence of his son having done the work he was supposed to do. A second case a year later found he overpaid with regard to his other son.
Oh, God.
Imagine being the other son who didn't get paid as much as your brother. Chairman of the Conservative Party. You'll notice a theme here, folks at home. Caroline Spellman was alleged in 2008 to have paid for her nanny out of parliamentary expenses during her early years. An allegation that became known as Nannygate.
Oh, that's what. Okay. I remember hearing the term Nannygate, but like, wasn't sure that was just some anime weeb shit.
Nope. It's she said that her defense was that she didn't know. She didn't know it was against the rules, Lucas, to pay someone for stuff that the money wasn't allocated
And
for.
like, the thing would be if we had a better childcare system in place. Like, I would argue that boys should get help towards childcare, etc., etc. But that's not the case, and therefore, you should be held accountable to what everyone else has to put up with.
Oh, but we've got more, Lucas. Married couple and Labour cabinet ministers Ed Balls, that's it, and Yvette Cooper from Pontefract, my hometown, were accused in September 2007 of exploiting the Commons' allowance system to pay for a £655,000 house in London.
I thought you were going to say 655 quid of something.
The claim was dismissed since it was ruled that the couple had acted in accordance with parliamentary law. So they got a £500,000 house for free, paid for by the public. Married Conservatives MP Sir Nichols and Lady Winterton, she clearly needs the money, were accused in 2008 of claiming back mortgage interest on a mortgage they had already repaid on a flat they owned in London, and they had also placed the flat in a trust and claimed for the rent on it. It was held that there was a clear breach of rules, but no repayment was requested.
So just don't do it again.
Don't do it again. Yeah.
Don't claim two properties on taxpayers' money again.
Labour Home Secretary Jackie Smith was stated to have claimed for her main home by designating it as a second home while identifying her main home as a location where she spent as little as 2 days a week, and despite having also access to a Grace and Favour home in Westminster. It's like a free place for MPs to stay, like a hotel.
Maybe when they've got a free place to stay, like a hotel, that they shouldn't be allowed to claim any of their own fucking homes.
Because here's the thing as well, a lot of the scandal revolved around the fact a lot of MPs were claiming for second homes, which they could theoretically do, but the second homes were in London, where housing prices are so extortionate, they were essentially getting a London flat, which would set you back about £300,000-400,000 for a bad one, and they were getting that for free, paid by the taxpayer, and then renting it out.
And not only just getting free property, but then getting free money on top of that because they were renting it out.
And then claiming back the interest on the rebates. It's insane. Labour Minister, also, I should point out, Jackie Smith did not have to undergo an inquiry because it was discovered that there was not sufficient evidence for an inquiry.
Oh, okay. So
even though she admitted
she just got that.
She admitted it, yeah. Labour Minister Tony McNulty admitted claiming expenses for a second home in Harrow, 8 miles from his main home in Hammersmith, and asserted that they were appropriate but ceased claiming the allowances. Because nothing says that I think I'm right than immediately stopping doing the thing that you're doing the moment it's discovered.
I'm not in the wrong, but I am going to immediately stop doing it.
So then we have the information, and it's discovered by the Daily Telegraph.
Okay.
In May 2009, 2 months prior to the official disclosure of full expenses claims, the Daily Telegraph obtained a full copy of all expenses claimed. The Telegraph began publishing in instalments. You remember this? This was so fun. In instalments, certain MPs' expenses. The Telegraph justified the publication of the information because it contended that the official information due to be released would have omitted key information. Because when they did try and release the official stuff, they cut out a bunch of things like paying for second homes.
Yeah, here's the Mackies that I bought. Don't worry, that was everything. It was everything. It wasn't a second house. Don't worry.
The information in the leaks published by the Telegraph originated from the Parliamentary Fees Office and been offered to other newspaper organisations for around £150,000, which you'll notice is less money than a single MP managed to swindle off the public. And they were happy to pay it, saying that it was spent in the public interest.
I think it definitely was. And just the fact that so much of this so far has been and then they stopped and walked away with everything they claimed for.
Well, here we go, though. So, areas of abuse. So, there are some specific areas of abuse that we need to be on the lookout for. So, nominating second homes. The Green Book states that the location of your main home will normally be a matter of fact. MPs and peers able to ensure their second home was one which enabled them to claim more expenses. At least one case Margaret Moran was nominated and was neither her constituency, where she's like, been
in charge of, yeah,
or Westminster, where she was doing work. So she managed to get a home somewhere else in the, like, basically paying for a summer home in Brighton or something.
Yeah.
Redesignating second homes. MPs were able to repeatedly switch the designation of their second home, enabling them to claim for purchasing, e.g. stamp duty, renovation and furnishing more than one property at once.
So all you have to do is, like, when you've got 3 houses, you just claim
I live
that
here.
this is my second house. Redo the entire house, renovate it all, refurnish it, and then move your second house to another one that you want.
And then obviously because of my new house, I need to get a new office, and you get new furniture as opposed to my parliamentary duties. And then what they do after that is they'd sell the house. They get it all up, get it all done up, get your conservatory, get a new kitchen on the taxpayer's expense, sell it.
You can just like
you can feel it. You can feel it.
Just seething.
Renting out second homes. MPs were able to claim for their second home while they were in fact renting their other homes out. In most cases, rented homes were, and I quote, third properties. Keep in mind this is the same government that's been stopping.
I just want one property, Karl. That's all I want. I just want a house. Can I claim it on Big Wangers?
In at least one case, Elliot Morley, MP, his second home was rented out to another MP who was claiming the rent on expenses.
Oh my fucking god.
It's like an Ouroboros of shit.
Oh.
Think about the balls. The balls to do... And think as well, folks at home, this was all legal. Nobody got in trouble.
Legal.
No one got in trouble. Overclaiming for council tax. Several MPs were able to round up the actual amounts due by claiming for 12 monthly instalments where only 10 were due, claiming up to £250 per month with no receipt required until those rules were changed. There's like, a free extra £500 a year.
Bear in mind, £250 is way more council tax than most people have to pay.
Yeah, but that's like them because it's got to account for the fact it might be in London. Subsidising property development. The Green Book rules that MPs could not claim for repairs beyond making good dilapidations. Like if your house is like falling apart, your front door.
Yeah, if you've got mould in your house or something. But if you want a duck moat, that's also okay.
But they were not enforced, and consequently, MPs were able to add significantly to the value of a property. By implication, some second homes were effectively businesses, not homes. They were renovated on expenses and then rapidly sold. Yeah, use the taxpayers' money to renovate second homes that you got.
While claiming it on expenses, like that house on expenses as well, and then sell it off for profit, and then assumedly go and buy another property to rinse and repeat.
Then we have evading tax and inappropriate attempts at avoiding tax. MPs either evaded tax or inappropriately deemed themselves not required to pay tax on reimbursement because they were largely allowed to decide for themselves whether or not they should pay for tax.
That's always like...
Don't you think? The thing is that I know that I should pay tax. Can you imagine if you sent a letter to the government about I don't think I owe tax on my house?
I've decided I don't pay tax, and I've also decided that that's okay.
Yeah, so then we have claiming expenses while living in grace and favour homes. So grace and favour homes are just, these are houses like either owned by the government or like another MP. You stay in that when you're doing your parliamentary duties, but if you do that, you're not allowed to have a second home. They did that whilst also having a second home that they would then rent out for money.
I don't understand how many times, like, obviously we saw it in America not long ago as well with like the Trump impeachment and stuff, but why is it always like the government have done something wrong, but it's up to the government to decide whether they've done something wrong?
We've got more here. Are you ready? Renovating and furnishing properties when standing down. MPs wrote a claim for renovations of furniture even when they'd already announced their intention to resign.
Hell.
Furnishing other homes. MPs were able to claim for items of furniture that were actually delivered to somewhere other than their second home. So, i.e., I'm going to buy my mum a TV and charge it to the British taxpayer. Exploiting the no receipt rule. MPs submitted a large number of claims just below £250, the ceiling under which they were not required to produce a receipt. That's like, I got a train ticket. Yeah. But they'd always and there's that thing of and I think one of the things they looked at is the rule was £250.
And all of them were like £249.
£249. It's like nothing looks more suspicious than, you bought all of your staff meals cost exactly £249.
You went into Tesco and bought one meal deal that cost £249.
Overclaiming for food. Under a rule permitting up to £400 for food each month. Without receipts, MPs were simply able to claim the whole £400 every month, even when Parliament wasn't sitting. Keep in mind, that's the thing, how much the food price has gone up now?
I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
A shit ton. Like £400 is pretty much like my groceries for the month.
And you can claim it for free
like,
every month.
That, for me and my partner and Caden, that's ridiculous. And that's when now, we're talking now, not like 2008 where food cost half the amount. Jesus fucking Christ. And when you're not even turning up for your job.
No, yeah, when you're not at work.
When you're not working, when Parliament's not even sitting, you're still like, yeah, but pay me, fuck you. And let's all bear in mind they already get very good salaries.
Are you ready? It's £88,000 a year.
I don't know what it was back in 2008, but yeah,
it says about £88,000 a year.
Fucking hell.
But if you factor in the amount of money they were getting in expenses, they're like, their actual like take-home money was close to £180,000.
They had no outgoings because everything was expensed.
Then source of information. This is a funny one. A former SAS officer called John Wick was the owner of a London-based risk management company. I'd trust that.
To be fair, I wouldn't have a bad word to say about him.
Yeah, an SAS.
He can get away with it.
He was the guy. He acted as a mediator for the actual whistleblower, and said that he did so because he believed that information should be given to the public. And it's like he's turned down like all requests to provide his source. It's like, I don't think you're going to argue. I don't think you're going to manage to get information out of a former SAS commander
out of John Wick.
Called John Wick. Media handling. In May 2009, major newspapers such as The Times described the resulting controversy as Parliament's darkest day. Keep in mind as well, there was a time in British history where someone tried to blow up Parliament. Like Guy Fawkes tried to blow up Parliament, and this was seen like as being worse. It was a full-blown political crisis, and reporting upon cross-party firings and resignations, and an exodus of shamed MPs. But his thing is though, Lucas, like public interest in the expenses debate led to the 14th of May 2009 edition of the BBC Political Time and Current Affairs television program Question Time, recording its highest viewing figures. And if you've ever watched that, I wouldn't recommend watching it because all it is MPs going, look, we need it. And that's where you get the amazing Derek Dimbleby like shit post in real life of there's an MP talking about, look, you don't know how difficult it is to be an MP. You have to wake up every morning and go to Parliament, and he just goes, you mean like a job? And just the entire crowd starts whooping and shit like an episode of Jerry Springer, and the MP's trying to talk over him. It's like, no, like a fucking... And he's trying to argue, like, I have to get up every other day at least noon and go into Parliament for it. And it's like they're trying to act like they're so hard done by.
It's that Wayne Rooney tweeting it. Of just like you don't know how tough it is. I have to get up and eat pasta at 6 a.m.
Okay, so Wayne Rooney is a footballer. He was paid at his peak like £150,000 a week. And one time, like, just tweeted out, you guys don't know how difficult it is to be a footballer. I have to get up at 6 a.m. every morning and eat 3 bowls of pasta. And just the top response was, Wayne, for what you get paid a week, I'd wake up every morning and shove it up my ass. But don't worry, Lucas, like, we have Nadine Dorris, a Conservative MP, criticised the Telegraph's handling, which she described as picking off a few MPs each day. Emailing at noon, giving 5 hours to reply, recording the conversation, not allowing them to speak, telling them they're going to publish anyway. I like that. Do you know what? I think it's really good that every now and again an MP's got a fucking sweat. She's basically what she's criticising for is that they didn't have a chance to quash it before it came out.
It's like, yeah, good. Just fuck them.
And then we have impact. So we're going to read the impact. And then we've got one more heading I think we should cover.
Okay.
So a widespread public reaction was heightened as a result of several factors. Of course, yeah. Especially, the incident broke in the face of an economic recession and global financial crisis upon an already unpopular government that has been in power for the last 15 years. Political response. The following publications of expenses caused politicians from all parties to respond to the controversy. Gordon Brown, the Prime Minister at the time, had to apologise on behalf of all politicians to the Royal College of Nursing. Can you imagine? Like, that's the thing. Like, keep on, they did this when they were like slashing wages for public servants, like nurses and shit.
I'm glad we're over that, right?
David Cameron, the leader of the opposition, said that all MPs should apologise for the expensive scandals. Shortly thereafter, the Telegraph published the claims of members of the shadow cabinet, which included David Cameron.
Yeah.
Cameron also admitted that the existing system was wrong, and we're sorry about it. The following day, Cameron said that some of the claims made were unethical and wrong and imposed new rules.
The idea of, like, David Cameron coming out is like, all these people should be ashamed of themselves. It's like, myself included, but we should all be ashamed.
And all the interviews in this time period are fucking infuriating. Because all it is people are saying, look, you don't understand. It's like, look, we need it to do our jobs. And it's like, but while they're cutting like public spending and stuff
while
like
they had like triple a nurse's salary and could expense everything they do.
I love those, like the police and tax. But are you ready though? So there's one final section I want to cover because I just think it's quite apt given it's a Wiki Weekdays. MPs accused of editing their own Wiki
Oh
pages.
no!
Because of course they all like, oh shit, I'm going to go on Wikipedia.
This looks bad. I'm going to edit my own page to get rid of the controversy.
So in May 2010, it was reported in the Daily Telegraph that a number of MPs and their staff had been caught attempting to edit their personal Wikipedia pages to remove references to their expenses claims. Wikipedia staff found that a number of IP addresses associated with the parliamentary estate had been attempting to remove potentially embarrassing information surrounding MPs' expenses claims from their Wikipedia profiles.
This sounds like a 14-year-old kid in school got caught doing something wrong. Oh dear.
And just Lucas, well, I'm just going to find a list of like the funnier expense claims, just some specific down to endable thoughts on that.
I mean, I just generally my thinking in life is fuck the Tories, but just fuck politicians in general, like absolute bunch of scumbags. And I always say, like, you know, to people that I don't understand like why people in power are like so awful and corrupt. And I think it's like you have to be an awful, slimy person to even think about being a politician in the first place.
Oh yeah, because you start thinking it's like
99% of the time.
So think about our current prime minister is married to a almost, I think, is she a billionaire or she's worth like $500 million?
I think it's like her family is like has an estate worth billions.
And he's like, oh, and he's even though his wife's worth billions, he's like passing rules that allow his wife to like make a little bit more money. It's like she's already a fucking
like you've won.
It's like centimillionaire.
Stop.
Well, do you know something? I've got now on Wikipedia a list of specific expense claims.
Okay.
So we'll start with the Labour Party. Gordon Brown, the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister, he went all the way to the top.
Do you think, like, who do you think when we mention former Prime Minister is going to be like worse in your brain? Is it going to be Gordon Brown or is it going to be Liz Truss? Like, which one got thrust the power of the country upon them even worse?
I don't know, but Gordon Brown allegedly paid his brother in excess of £6,000 for cleaning services.
What the fuck was he cleaning?
I don't know, but we do know.
Shit out of his ass.
And then he claimed for the same plumbing repair bill twice. Downing Street responded that saying that Brown paid his brother, who in turn paid the cleaner, as the cleaner worked for them both, but preferred not to be paid by a single person for national. So I gave my brother the money, and then he used the money. It's like I gave him £6,000 of public money, and trust me, I know what he did with it. Tony Blair, former Prime Minister, claimed £6,000 for roof repairs. He had submitted the invoice twice.
Of course, like, that's one thing, isn't it? Is like, my house is falling apart, I need roof repair. It's like, it's shitty, but that should be paid for by the salary that the country gives you.
Yeah, John
already,
Prescott.
but like, claiming it twice.
John Prescott, former Deputy Prime Minister, reported to have claimed £312 for fitting mock Tudor beams to his constituency home and for 2 new toilet seats in as many years. He has not responded to any of the claims.
Also, I don't know if it was a small audio cut or if it's just the silence that me and Karl had of just being ashamed and angry.
David Miliband claimed in excess of £30,000 for repairs, decorations and furnishings for his family home in South Shields. Jack Straw admitted to using expenses to claim full council tax bill despite only paying a 50% tax rate. Straw said he acted in good faith and repaid the erroneous claims, and he was made aware that expenses MPs were going to be made public. Oh, he did he?
It's very kind of him, isn't it?
I was going to say,
very nice
when he realised he only paid half tax, he's like, no, when he found out they were going to be made public, he's like, oh, fuck.
Because when you started that sentence, I was like, wait, someone actually paid something back? And it's like, oh, because it was going to go public, right. Oh, okay.
Margaret Moran Claimed £22,000 for treating dry rot in her coastal property in Southampton, 100 miles away from her constituency and a 2-hour drive from Westminster, just days after making it her designated second home. Moran responded by saying she had done nothing against the rules and needed the Southampton property to maintain her family life.
It's not the fact that you're not breaking the rules, it's the fact that the rules were fucking awful. The rules were so shockingly in your favour.
Well, Lucas, appearing on the Politics show on the 10th of May, she was asked straight up, why should taxpayers pay for your home in Southampton when you are not using it for work? She responded that such arrangements were necessary in order for MPs to have a proper family life. She insisted that there was nothing wrong with her 3-home arrangement and argued that MPs should have third homes away from London or their constituency where they can relax with their partners, and that would make them more able MPs.
Existing in your constituency doesn't mean you're actively on your job at all times.
Also, that absolute shit talk about my constituents. I don't want to live in the place I'm supposed to represent. I can't relax there.
I don't know if we've stated whether they're all Labour or no, just general.
These are all Labour.
These are all Labour. Okay.
And we have Elliot Morley, well, sort of Scunthorpe, where I used to live, continued claiming mortgage and interest on his constituency home, selling over £16,000 over 18 months. After the loan had been repaid, he said in response, "I have made a mistake." Gonna move on to the Conservative, because that's the thing. It goes on. Look, it goes.
And for anyone wondering why we are reading off phones, it's so that I can't see on the computer screen when we're recording in person. We like to surprise each other with what's coming.
And I think as well, you'll notice the difference in Labour MPs who generally come from working class constituencies and Conservative ones. Because the first one we have here is Michael Ancram, Conservatives, said to have claimed expenses for servicing his swimming pool's boiler.
It's one thing council tax, then it's oh, I'm so sorry, your swimming pool's going to be cold.
And he said that he agreed to repay the £98 boiler servicing claim, but maintained that none of the items were extravagant or luxurious. The boiler for his swimming pool was not exorbitant or extravagant.
That's the thing. Paying for boiler repair is definitely not extravagant, but that's a boiler for your fucking swimming pool.
Well, speaking of which, James Arbuthnot, a Conservative for North East Hampshire, reports a claim for maintenance on the swimming pool at his constituency home. Gregory Barker, Shadow Energy and Climate Change Minister / Conservative, sold a London flat which he had purchased using expenses for a profit of £327. It says here that the newspapers have failed to take into account that he'd invested a significant amount of his own money. Keep in mind he's paid by the public.
Yeah.
Bill Cash, very fittingly named, a Conservative.
Bill Cash, Money. His name is Money.
Was reported to have claimed £15,000, which he then paid to his daughter, a prospective Conservative candidate, as rent for a Notting Hill flat when he had his own flat a few miles away. He defended these expenses by saying it was within the rules. It was only for.
Oh, I wish my dad could have just rented me a flat for a year for free on the
Cheryl Gillian, Shadow Welsh Secretary, and also our the opposition party called the Shadow Cabinet. I wish they were not as evil. Because that's the thing they claimed. Are you ready, Lucas? £4.47 worth of pet food.
Okay.
When she's on 150 grand a year. So I think that's the thing.
The thing of the tiny thing of can you not afford this on your luxurious paycheck? Once again, reminding people they are on a good wage already.
Michael Gove, Shadow Children's School and Family Secretary. Really? That guy looks after kids.
Probably shouldn't.
Like fucking Skeletor. Claimed £7,000 for furnishing a London property before flipping it flipping his designated home to a second house, a property for which he claimed another £13,000. He claimed for a cot mattress, despite children's items being banned under Commons rules.
Oh, he claimed a what?
A cot.
I thought you said he claimed for a cock mattress.
Cock mattress.
I was like, yeah, maybe he shouldn't be around children. The cock mattress guy.
Here's the one that you remember though, Lucas. Douglas Hogg, Conservative, allegedly claimed £2,100 to have the moat at his country estate cleaned. His fucking moat! He had a moat! And also for piano tuning in the gardener, he emphatically denied the claim, saying, "I have never claimed for a moat or piano tuning. The allegation is incorrect."
I mean, maybe we shouldn't be giving these jobs to people that live on estates with moats. Just in general, maybe they shouldn't be serving the public like interest.
Bernard Jenkins, Conservative, reported to have paid £50,000 in expenses in order to pay rent on a property that he was using in town. The property was owned by his sister. He claimed that the rent was an honest and reasonable amount for the property. £50,000 a year in rent. Where the fuck's he living? The Hilton. Like that, and it goes on
and on
and on and on and on. David McLean, Conservative. He spent more than £20,000 improving a farmhouse before selling it for £750,000. He did not pay any tax on it. Michael Spicer, said to have claimed the cost of hanging a chandelier in his main manor house.
Just that every word in that sentence, Karl.
He also included paying a gardener to cut a hedge into the shape of a helipad. Conservative Anthony Steen claimed more than £87,000 over 4 years for maintenance and upkeep of his country estate. Since the revelation, Steen has announced that he will not be standing in the next general election. He also claimed on the BBC's The World at One radio programme that people were very jealous because he has a very large house. Peter Viggers, Conservative gospel, and here's the other really famous one that we can end on, claimed £20,000 in gardening expenses and £1,645 for, you know what this is, Lucas?
No.
This is the most famous one. A duck house.
Okay, so I'm conflating two things because I thought he was. I remember ducks and moats.
One guy got his moat cleaned.
They were the same thing of like he had a moat with ducks in it or something. But the duck house, yeah.
And then just this one because I think it sums up how sad they were. David Willett claimed £100 for workmen to replace 25 light bulbs in the second house. When queried, he said that a workman was required because it was very dangerous work.
Fuck my life. You know, like I live in a rented property, and generally speaking, like if it's any of like the the lights that are like properly fitted into the ceiling or anything, I get annoyed because I have to put a call out in to my estate agent to be like, can you get someone to come and replace a light bulb?
Yeah.
I get infuriated by that, and this guy's like, nah, man.
But like,
also, why 25 light? Why do you need 25 light bulbs?
Well, it's more the fact, think about how big your house is if you've got 25
That's what I
bulbs.
mean, yeah. Like, well, apart from in this house where, like, for some reason,
there's no light bulbs.
No, my bathroom, for some reason, has, like, 18 light bulbs fitted in there, and I don't know why.
But, yeah, that was the UK parliamentary expenses scandal. And I think just more than anything, it's that the fact as well, it was literally, there wasn't a single MP who'd not done it. And that's what made it so funny.
Yeah.
Because it was one of those amazing, surreal experiences to live through. Because, like, when it happened, obviously, they started with the Labour Party because they were in charge at the time. And then, like, Conservatives, like, oh, this is all terrible. Can't believe the next day, Conservatives...
dragging him through the dirt, like, screaming and hollering at them and fucking...
It was fucking phenomenal. It was incredible.
How dare they do this to us? And then it's like, yeah, you claimed on your moat.
And it's important to note that nothing changed. Got in trouble.
No one had to pay back anything.
Some of them, they did, but you know what the best bit is? Some of them got to claim it back. So that's the thing, like,
It's an expense, just, And all that was taxpayer money, everyone.
Everyone's. Then the Conservatives got in charge and, like, continued to, like, slash all public service. Yeah.
I'm just going to do one thing, by the way. Just so I can sync up stuff, now that we've got a nice breaking point and I remember. Didn't do that at the start.
Breaking point is pretty accurate there, isn't it? Of like,
I am at breaking point.
I could see you just in the reflection of the thing, and just like are you fucking kidding me? So yeah, keep that in mind, folks at home. Like, if you think this wiki won this week, but Lucas, hopefully you brought something.
I'm bringing some in that maybe we should bring to Parliament.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring up Mortal Kombat.
We're gonna put Mortal Kombat.
Maybe some of these MPs should like just get fucking fatality'd. Let's just say that. So yeah, I am talking about Mortal Kombat, and we are talking about the original Mortal Kombat game.
You mean Mortal Kombat 1 that's got announced?
Mortal Kombat 1 just got announced, yeah.
So that's the one you're talking about.
We're talking about Mortal Kombat 1. Yeah. Not Mortal Kombat 1, the new one, or Mortal Kombat 1, the movie, or Mortal Kombat 1, the movie, new movie, Mortal Kombat 1, the video game from the 90s.
Okay. So I actually know quite a bit about the creation of Mortal Kombat. 'Cause it was fun.
Yeah, I think we probably both know quite a bit about this, so I figured A, it'll make a nice discussion, and a timely discussion for once.
Depending on when this goes out.
Well, it goes out right now because we're live, Carl.
Perfect.
So there we go. We don't have a chance for this to get messed up. But yeah, we're going to talk about it. It's 1992, so it's as old as I am.
Yeah, you're as old as Mortal Kombat.
I just figured, that means that like maybe we can have a nice discussion, or maybe the audience will learn a lot. But like, for us two, we probably are aware of a lot of the stuff that has gone on.
So it's MP versus MK.
It is MP versus MK.
And that's the thing, we don't plan these, by the way. Me and Lucas, we always have a list of things we're going to talk about, and the idea is we want to just bounce off each other and get that genuine surprise, frustration, laughs, and stuff like that.
And that's the thing is because I picked a more timely thing, and we had no theme for this week either. We were just going chaos mode. I was like, there's a chance that Karl could also bring Mortal Kombat here. And
No. I was, because we were talking about it earlier, and I went, "Oh, there's a great Wikipedia page on that." So I scuttled my expected one for this week and picked that instead.
So Mortal Kombat, the original game, spawned a franchise with several action-adventure game, a comic book series, a card game, films, an animated TV series, and a live-action tour.
Yeah, is there anything that's more baffling than the fact that Mortal Kombat, I think, released like 3 open-world action games, but only one of them centered around Scorpion?
Yeah.
And they did like the Mortal Kombat, like where Shaolin Monks, where it's like Liu Kang and Kung Lao.
Kung Lao, right, okay.
And they had like Scorpion in that as like a playable bonus character, but then they had the other one which was Special Forces.
Yeah, because that was like the fuck you, we're gonna knock on you and kill you all.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mortal Kombat has become the best-selling fighting game franchise worldwide.
Yeah.
And has become one of the highest-grossing media franchises of all time, with the caveat that Mortal Kombat has sold way more because it's had a lot of games, whereas Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the highest-selling fighting game of all time now.
But like Mortal Kombat always does gangbusters. It's because people come for the lore, or they come for the gore, they stay for the lore.
Oh dear, and just my throat died. I inhaled something, but yeah, I remember like listening to podcasts and people from IGN saying like when Mortal Kombat 9, 10, and 11 were all coming out, every Mortal Kombat article and fatality show off and all like the highest view things on the website
always does the best. Yeah,
always does the best because I say the lore and the gore keep people coming back.
People love Mortal Kombat,
and I kind of don't know how, because like the mid stretch that they had between like MK3 and MK9, I don't know how that didn't bury the series dead.
It's because even though they were very bad from a gameplay perspective, they were still pretty good. Like more like Shaolin, like Deception and Armageddon and Annihilation. Like they weren't on Annihilation. It was Armageddon, Deception, and Deadly Alliance. Weren't great mechanically. They were fun.
Right. Okay.
That's the thing. They were like from a.
So I didn't play any of those ones. I played like a little bit of Mortal Kombat Trilogy as a kid because like I wasn't allowed to have Mortal Kombat as a kid, but you always know that one friend that has it.
Yeah.
So I got to go play at their house, like, fair enough, because that game had brutal fatalities and I was as old as the games were.
Yeah.
So it does make sense and that's fair enough, but I've never really got into it when I heard all these bad games were coming out on the like PS2 and stuff. And then
they're only bad because it's the gift of hindsight. When they first came out, like I said, they did gangbusters when they released. It's the few like flaccid releases they had with things like Mortal Kombat, like Special Forces. That nearly killed the franchise, and it more than anything just killed off spin-off games.
Yeah.
Not so much the mainline series, and why that's so frustrating is because that means they killed Mortal Kombat Fire and Ice, which is the proposed sequel to Shaolin Monks, where it's Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Yeah, of course. And like maybe Karl. No, actually, I was going to say maybe you can grab my Scorpion and Sub-Zero little Funkos, but we're quite crammed in here.
Yes.
We are penned in by my L-shaped desk, like we have become the L.
Hold this.
I was just going to show them off of but we can't do props because we're squeezed into a desk apparently.
Well, yeah. What is your favourite Mortal Kombat character?
Sub-Zero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's always Scorpion or Sub-Zero.
He's the coolest.
He's
He's
literally
the coolest. I did quite like Cassie Cage in terms of the new roster of characters. Like
Yeah, like because the Mortal Kombat had that era of just jobbers. Of like, and I think the way I've heard it described, the only one who managed to squeak out was Kenshi. 'Cause, like, do you remember Cobra?
no.
Do you remember Tavon?
Wait, where's Kenshi from? I thought that was like MK3.
He's from Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, I think.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Like,
Kenshi's awesome.
He's the only like 3D era Mortal Kombat character that made it in, because you had like Cobra and Tavon and Dagon and all that shit. It's like, oh, it's not great.
There was a couple of questionable MK10 and 11 characters that I was like, oh, this new character's awful, and someone was like, no, that's an old character.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then there was can't remember what they were called, but there was the big person with the little one on the back.
Therator, yeah.
I quite liked that, but it was very annoying to play online against.
Just the voice lines, yeah. Just Ashley Birch in it up. I think he's either Ashley Birch or Tara Strong. He's one of
the two.
The two women who do small child characters in video games.
But we'll move on. The series has a reputation for high levels of graphic violence, including most notably its fatalities, which are finishing moves that kill the defeated opponents instead of knocking them out.
Mm-hmm.
We are a couple of drinks in, so reading off a little phone is getting a bit harder.
You should do that classic thing where you read it with one eye. You've had a drink and you try to text someone.
Controversy surrounding Mortal Kombat in part led to the creation of the ESRB, which is the Entertainment Software Rating Board, and that was notable alongside Frame Trap,
Night Trap. We've covered.
Which we have talked about before, and both of those were two of the big examples of video games going too far and needing to be censored.
And it's arguable that if we'd not had Mortal Kombat, we wouldn't have, or Night Trap, we wouldn't have had that rating system. Mm-hmm. It's like one game alone could have been, there's one violent game, we just banned that one when it was two. And even though they were presented kind of unfairly, like Mortal Kombat, you can murder people. But the Night Trap one where they framed it as you are murdering people, it's like, no, you're protecting them. It's like watching a horror movie and saying someone gets shot in a horror movie. It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and as we've learned with Karl's wiki this week, if people get the chance to monitor themselves, they generally don't. Yeah. They can get away with it, they will. And I will say, in terms of where we are with Mortal Kombat and its fatalities,
it's too far.
It's like I struggle to watch the Mortal Kombat 1 new trailer. Like that level of photorealism, actually, when someone's thumbing them through the eyes, it's literally basically at this point watching a movie, but there's the violence and level of detail is way higher.
I think it's for me is that I like the characters. So then say for example you have Jackie Briggs versus Jax Briggs, her dad, and then her dad can just baseball batter the skin off her face,
rip her bones off her body.
And it just for me, as someone who enjoys the characters in it, it's I don't really want to see them murder each other.
Yeah, and it's one of those as well. When Mortal Kombat 11, I think it was, came out, there was articles of how people that were developing the game needed therapy afterwards and shit because how traumatizing the images and videos were that they had to look up to get.
Because fun fact, the only way to realistically render a destroyed human body is to go look up footage and pictures of destroyed human bodies.
So that shit's also fucked right up, and it's I get it when it was the digitized versions of people in MK1 and you're ripping a skull out and just it's got a very cartoony skeletal look.
It's the difference between something like Gears of War. I don't know when you hit someone, they just completely glib apart, and it's it's so cartoonishly over the top. Whereas Mortal Kombat, some of it is cartoon, and some of it is just really mean. It's really mean spirited,
and that's clearly what makes the franchise popular, and it's not going to change. But yeah, it is at a point now where I'm maybe the friendships might be the answer. It's just I love shit like that, the friendships aspect where if people aren't aware, there were games where they added, instead of fatalities, you could like kill them with friendship.
Yeah, and they're always really fun.
They are very fun. But yes, early games in the series were noted for their realistic, digitized sprites and an extensive use of palette swapping to create brand new characters. It didn't say brand new; it just said new characters.
But using brand new
characters, Karl. So what's your like thoughts and feelings on the palette swaps on the ninjas?
What's the difference between Ryu and Ken?
One's cool.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like Ryu and Ken. What about Gen? What about Akuma?
Yeah.
What about Sean? Dan.
Who's the woman as well?
Chun-Li and Sakura. Oh no,
Sakura.
Sakura.
Thinking, yeah.
And they're all Street Fighter characters who have essentially the same moveset with minor variations. I see it as being no different.
I mean, fair, but like Ken and Ryu look different.
Oh yeah, but like so does Scorpion and Sub-Zero. One's yellow, one's blue. You can't get more different than that. They're different colours.
And green, and pink, and red.
That's Reptile. There's no pink ninja.
Melina?
Melina is not a ninja. She is a clone of... That's, you know...
No, I know that she's like Shang Tsung's experiment that's like...
she's also purple.
Is she purple,
She's
right?
purple
okay.
because it's blue. It's the opposite of Katana's.
Blue and purple.
Like blue with red in it.
Okay, but yeah. You know, there are...
Yeah.
Every colour under the sun has a male or female ninja-esque character, but like the actual ninjas, there's what, like 8 of them or something.
A good, yeah, there's a good amount.
Because there's like Noob as well, and the Smoke, and then you get like the ones that were turned into cyborgs as well. Like
Sector, Cyrax.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't mind them. And you know, I think one of my favorite ones is Reptile because of like I'm sure we'll get into it.
He's green as fuck.
It's not that. It's like the acid spit, but B like the secret character aspect of Reptile made him super cool. But yeah, I think it was just like a smart way to get around the limitations at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they've made each one like substantially different over time as they've had the technology to make them all more individual characters and designs.
Of course, yeah, and that's like same thing like Ryu and Ken. But I think there's more difference between Scorpion and Sub-Zero than there is between Ryu and Ken. Like mechanically.
With Scorpion and Sub-Zero for sure. Yeah. I think that's where like the strength of it comes in is their movesets were much more differentiated than, you know, any other fighting games, like, you know, similar characters. The Shoto kind of character.
Yeah, so like Ryu and Ken are functionally identical in a lot of the games they appear in, bar like minor aesthetic and like mechanical differences. Whereas Scorpion and Sub-Zero literally have straight up just opposite palettes and different moves.
Yeah.
So I've never had an issue with the palette swaps.
And yeah, it says here that following Midway's bankruptcy, Mortal Kombat development team was acquired by Warner Brothers (RIP).
Yes.
And re-established as NetherRealm Studios.
I think like you could tell that Warner Bros. Bought them because they're announcing DLC characters in the announcement trailer.
That's the thing, is like people pointed out that they've done this for MK9, 10, and 11, but at least they did that when they showed off gameplay trailers. This one was like, here's the announcement CGI trailer that you haven't even shown us what game we're buying yet.
And they're saying,
you're like, not only pre-order for a character, pre-order for what looks like the main bad guy of the game, which is Shang Tsung, which is a throwback to the original game, right? Yeah. Shang Tsung being the...
I do like our friend who
bad guy
joked about, it's just it's in universe. Liu Kang's just not allowed anyone use him because he's like now made the universe.
So yeah, like it is just an egregious mess
that's Warner Bros. All over, baby.
Like Warner Brothers just ruined so many games, and that's why I never ever buy Mortal Kombat or Injustice games straight off the bat. Always wait for that Ultimate Edition, like
which you know is coming.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got Mortal Kombat 11 like Aftermath with like all the DLC on it. I got Injustice 2.
I don't think Shao Kahn's in the.
I think it is in the Aftermath one. But yeah, I got Injustice 2 when like the gold version came out or whatever, because I just remember like my friend buying all of like the Injustice 1 DLC and being like, I've bought so much of it, and then like a week after the last DLC came out, they announced it's all in like a 40 quid.
Yeah, I'll never forget when I bought the Ultimate Edition of Mortal Kombat X. It was called Mortal Kombat XL. It says on the front of the box, comes with every costume.
And then
it says it on the box.
I remember this, and you were furious because you were like, I opened the game and it told me that I need to play the mobile game to unlock an outfit.
Yeah, like, I shit you not, folks at home. The front of the box says, includes every DLC costume. The literal first thing you see before you're allowed to play the game is a bonus pop-up that says, play the mobile game to get the exclusive Cassie Cage, like, Sub-Zero skin. And I was like, I just installed it. I paid you all this money. This is the ultimate complete edition. The first thing I'm told is, here's a thing you're not allowed unless you give us more money. The literal first fucking thing.
Oh, I forgot that there was... I'm just scrolling through here because, like, gameplay I think we can skip over because it's Mortal Kombat. It's a fighting game.
You know what you do.
You know what we're here for. You know what I mean. Like,
you know what we're all about.
But it did point out that not only did they have friendships that replaced fatalities or like added to fatalities, there was also babalities, which turned the opponents into babies.
Which was added as a direct response to people not liking fatalities.
Right, okay, yeah. So yeah, maybe they should add some friendships and babalities into Mortal Kombat 1.
The one that I wanted to add in is Harakiri, where you can kill yourself. So Joe, if your opponent's trying to troll you in the screen, just kill yourself and quit. I think that'd be a good idea. Like, then it becomes a fight of like.
Was that ever a thing?
It was in Mortal Kombat Deception, I think. People saying with online and how prevalent trolling is.
Like you can't quit, but you can harakiri.
Yeah, so it becomes like a competition to try and kill yourself for the opponent does. Like you didn't win. Like people wanting to put that in.
So I think we should go.
I think you should click on plot.
Okay.
And just
I'm scared.
No, just scroll. Don't read it out. Just scroll down. See how big it is. See how big the section called plot is.
Okay, that's not too bad. That's maybe like a dozen paragraphs or so.
But keep in mind as well that the plot of Mortal Kombat, they've reset that universe 3 times.
Yeah, I was going to say, bear in mind, because that's why I didn't click on plot, because how deep are they going to go? Because you've got Mortal Kombat up to like 6 or something.
Armageddon.
And then, okay, yeah, it's literally Armageddon, isn't it? Yeah.
Which is where they end the universe.
And then that Mortal Kombat 9 is Raiden trying to like get out of the Armageddon universe and reboot it.
And he does.
And then you've got like Mortal Kombat.
He must not win.
11 Aftermath, which has now reset the universe to Mortal Kombat 1.
And Liu Kang's now in charge.
So it's like, yeah, when it gets to the point where the words are Fire God Liu Kang has reset the universe, it's I'm out.
It's like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah, there were
animalities
and stuff like that, where like Liu Kang turned into a dragon. Was it Liu Kang?
He turned into a dragon.
Yeah. But goddamn, yeah, like I love the story modes that NetherRealm make, but the actual plot, when you've had to like get 3 games in and reset again because it's gone that batshit insane.
All you need to know is that Mortal Kombat has 2 characters called Sub-Zero. One of them is like Scorpion's arch nemesis who he wants to kill. The other one is his best friend. And they're brothers, and they look exactly the same, and wear the same outfit and have the same name.
And I will like just go through a list here
of the game. Oh, please read the list of games that we've had in the order. This
is maybe the reason why it sold the most amount that any fighting game franchise has.
Let's go.
So the release timeline starting in 1992. I'm not going to go through the years of them all. We've got Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
Mortal Kombat 2.
Makes sense.
Mortal Kombat 3.
Makes sense.
Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Already making definitive editions.
So that's, similar to the Super Street Fighter 2 kind of trend, and the Turbo and the Championship Edition. Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which is just all 3 of them together. Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero.
Oh, it's terrible. It sucks so much ass. It sucks so much ass. I can't believe I played it.
They came out the same year as Mortal Kombat 4, though.
Which
so
also
you did
sucks.
still have a genuine Mortal Kombat game.
Which also sucks.
Wasn't great. Then Mortal Kombat Gold. I don't remember which one that was.
That was the Mortal Kombat 4 reboot game. For the cast, I think, which added more characters.
Dreamcast as a launch title, yeah.
And it had new characters, secret characters. From
you are
games.
welcome, Uber Eats. I did it.
I did too. It was nice. That was a nice pizza.
Then we have Mortal Kombat Special Forces, Mortal Kombat Advance, which is I think a terrible port of Mortal Kombat on the Game Boy Advance. We have Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Tournament Edition, Deception, Shaolin Monks, Armageddon, Unchained, Ultimate Mortal Kombat, and then Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. And just bear in mind, that all of those games were from 2002 Deadly Alliance to 2008 Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe.
And that's what nearly killed the franchise, right? Mortal Kombat versus DC was like, they thought they were onto a fucking winner with that.
And to be fair, they just needed to split the game up. Oh, Injustice is fantastic. And then we have a couple of years where they went, oh shit.
Yeah, let's let this brand, let's do what Assassin's Creed did, let it breathe for a year or two.
Give it a minute after fucking Mortal Kombat versus DC. Where famously, they weren't allowed fatalities. You know, as we mentioned, the main attraction of the series. Because DC characters weren't allowed to get, you know, bullets through their skull and
They
die.
had hero finishes instead.
They did. And then 2011, we got the reboot, Mortal Kombat. And that was Mortal Kombat 9, like colloquially, but it's just called Mortal Kombat. So this means that this is the third Mortal Kombat 1 that's coming out soon.
So how weird is that we had Mortal Kombat 9? Because they called it Mortal Kombat, and then called the next one Mortal Kombat 10.
Yeah.
And then Mortal Kombat 11, now Mortal Kombat 1.
So you had Mortal Kombat Arcade Collection, Mortal Kombat Complete Edition, and of course Complete is with a K.
The balls to call it the Complete Edition.
And Arcade Collection with a K. Then 2015, Mortal Kombat 10, Mortal Kombat Mobile, and Mortal Kombat XL. And then Mortal Kombat 11, Aftermath, and Ultimate. And now,
again, the balls to like call it Ultimate. It's not got everything in.
Yeah, and just Mortal Kombat 1. So we've literally got Mortal Kombat, the first one, Mortal Kombat, the 9th one, and Mortal Kombat 1. And this is why I didn't click the plot button.
Because what the fuck? To be fair, though, made a lot of games.
Yeah, a lot of money as well, like 80 million plus titles sold, I think. Which is crazy when you think, like, that's what the entire Mortal Kombat, like, you know, all of those games have sold around 80 million. Smash Ultimate has sold like 30-something million.
On its own.
On its own.
On its own.
Goddamn right it has. So Mortal Kombat started development in 1991 with 4 people, Ed Boon programming, John Tobias on art and story, John Vogel on graphics, and Dan Forden on sound design.
Yeah, because he's the toasty guy, right?
Was it Forden that did Toasty?
I think he's like Toasty.
I knew one of the 4 did the Toasty.
Yeah, he's the guy in like the purple t-shirt who, like, when you land an uppercut on some stages, because he used to say it when they were doing training.
Yeah, and I never understood why it's Toasty.
Apparently, it's just they thought it was funny.
That's just something he said, and they thought it was funny.
It's just an in-joke between like when they were recording, and they thought to put it.
And then, you know, one thing that people like Easter egg straight away when mentioning the 4 developers is Noob Cybot is of course Ed Boon. And John Tobias being like, Boon backwards is Noob, Tobias backwards is Cybot. You know, I didn't want to miss that one out because I knew that.
Did you know?
There'd be the people, Karl. So, according to Mortal Kombat actors, Richard DeVizio and Daniel Pesina.
Yeah, he was Johnny Cage.
The first game began as a ninja-themed project by John Tobias, a young new employee at Midway at the time. And then, as well, as Carl Pesina, however, the pitch to Tobias's Ed Boon was rejected by the management of Midway. Midway was approached to create a video game adaptation of the then upcoming film Universal Soldier.
Bloodsport. Oh no, is it Universal Soldier?
Universal Soldier.
Not Bloodsport.
Yeah, so it later says they intended to make the game a lot more serious, a little bit more like Enter the Dragon or Bloodsport. The actual one was Universal Soldier, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Who's in Mortal Kombat 1, apparently.
Who's now in Mortal Kombat 1 as a Johnny Cage skin because Johnny Cage was inspired by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Who even wears his outfit, yeah.
So they've gone full circle, and I'm very curious to know if that's modern day Jean-Claude.
They'll de-age him like they did at like Arnie and
Rambo and all that. I hope so.
All that does though is just annoy me even more because that means they're once again doing the thing of characters who'd be thematically appropriate to fight each other and now locked behind different games.
Because we could have had like the perfect horror game if you combine them up. We would have had the perfect like action movie crossovers.
We could have had Jean-Claude Van Damme fighting the Terminator, fighting RoboCop, fighting Rambo, and now we're not, unless the Terminator's still in it somehow.
Yeah. Like if you could get all of the guest characters from like 9 to 11 into Mortal Kombat Ultimate, like Smash did.
Yes.
That would be a game that sells as much as Smash Ultimate.
I don't know how they've not got the license. It's like the 8. given how popular the 80s is. Like, why have they not got that? Because they've wanted for years to make that like horror movie game where you fight like Scream, like Ghostface fighting Pinhead.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be perfect for them as well.
So yeah, they wanted to make the game a bit more, serious, like we mentioned, like Enter the Dragon or Bloodsport.
Nothing's more serious than guys who fire laser beams.
But, serious when, I guess, you rip a skull out of somebody.
That is pretty serious.
It's a bit more serious. Then it basically all went to shit because the deal to use the Bloodsport license fell through.
Yeah, they got the Bloodsport license instead. Because they were going to do it for Universal Soldier and said, well, they pitched a Bloodsport one.
They pitched Universal Soldier to Midway.
They said, make a Bloodsport one.
Yeah.
They did that. The deal fell through. But they already had like the guy who was dressed like Johnny Cage, dressed like Jean-Claude Van Damme, like body, because he was only going to he wasn't going to come in for the proof of concept. They got a guy who looked like him to do some stuff to show to Jean-Claude Van Damme.
So that's me getting that wrong. Like Midway told them make a Universal Soldier. They were like, we want it more like Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Then that fell through, but they decided to continue making Mortal Kombat characters instead. And then, Johnny Cage became a spoof on the whole Jean-Claude Van Damme situation.
Which is why his backstory is he's a crap actor. Which makes sense. Like Jean-Claude Van Damme, love his movies, he can't act.
No, but he's a good action movie star, right? So yeah, it was the success of Capcom's Street Fighter 2: The World Warrior that convinced Midway Games to let the team produce their own arcade fighting game, the genre chosen by Tobias for the game, as to let him use as large digitized sprites as possible. So like basically just do it on the arcade, because then this technology you've got of digitizing sprites, we can make like these big digitized cool looking sprites that will like really grab people's attention.
They also as well, because that was the era of arcade machines, and do you ever hear about like the behind the scenes war to make the loudest arcade machine? Because there were no rules about how loud arcade machines had to be.
The loudest and brightest ones that can grab people's attention were the ones that were going to succeed, and therefore they just kept going further and further.
And the Mortal Kombat one was legendary for how loud it was, because it had the thunder crack of like, and they actually brought in rules to make it not as loud, because people were going deaf or getting hearing damage. So what they did for later Mortal Kombat ones is they had the preview mode that was quieter than the actual mode.
Right.
So the preview mode would be within the limits, but when you actually turned it on, it would just go louder after like an hour or so.
And really, obviously it wasn't around at the time. What it should have just been is like, it's time for Mortal Kombat.
I can't believe it took them 20 years to play that song.
Oh, God. And like, have they played it in any game?
Nope.
No.
Only in the trailer for Aftermath.
So it says that here, the Street Fighter 2 was not actually much of an influence on the project. It was just a way to be like, look, Street Fighter fucking sold gangbusters.
People like fighting games.
People want fighting games, yeah. I also forgot Street Fighter 2 was called The World Warrior.
Yeah.
Like, it's always just Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter 2 X Edition in my head. So, Tobias cited 1984's Karate Champ as an inspiration. Everyone's favourite game that they definitely remember.
It's fine for what it is.
And they intentionally worked on making a game that was different than Capcom's title in every way. Besides the digitized characters that differentiated it from its contemporaries' hand-drawn one stark difference was in the very high amount of blood and violence. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, not as much. It's kind of laughable when you look back at it now, but like if you look at it through the lens of what you
compare it to a Street Fighter 2 at the time,
when you have an actual digitized likeness of an actor having their skull ripped out, it was pretty shocking for the period it was released in.
And it's like, okay. So someone at Capcom got asked do you prefer the precision and depth of Street Fighter or the gore and comedy of Mortal Kombat?
Mortal Kombat.
And, I think over time, it's I'd say in terms of, if you ask a fighting game fan, it's a bit more close, but in terms of public opinion, it seems like Mortal Kombat won that fight. Like, people love gore and comedy over, depth and precision, because guess what? You have to really get into Street Fighter to appreciate the depth and precision.
Mortal Kombat lets me press 2 buttons and I punch someone's dick off.
Yeah.
You can't do that in Street Fighter.
I will just say right now, I'm just seeing the chat. I don't know where I got the shirt. It was a present.
It was a gift, and you don't ask where you get gifts from. That's not very nice.
Okay, so John Tobias said that his inspiration for the game's stories and characters came from Chinese mythology and some of the stories and rumored events around the Shaolin monks. I don't really remember. Like, I don't know my Chinese mythology very well, but I don't remember Sub-Zero being a part of it.
Not really.
He
No.
might be. I'm sure there's somewhere like they found inspirations for like Hell Warrior and Ice Warrior and stuff like that. But I want to know where Jax came from. Where in Chinese mythology is like man with just two giant beefy metal arms?
What they did is one of the things that makes that game so fun is that they just took it from everyone. They don't give a shit. Like, they really don't give. It's like, fuck it, we're gonna make this like Chinese like cryomancer fight this fire skeleton ninja versus this blind swordsman versus this like half dragon like 4-armed like dump truck man.
They just wanted
fighting a horse.
Comedy and gore and like cool digitized sprites, and like I still love those digitized sprites. Like,
I still think they look good.
I don't think they look good, but they look interesting still.
They hold up because they look distinct.
And like same with like Donkey Kong Country. I still think like that like set of digitized sprites looks really interesting. Like it stands out so much against what was happening back in '92, and I think they might have both been '92 games. I think Donkey Kong Country might have been as well. But it just looks so interesting. Like, obviously, I think specifically if you're talking Street Fighter 2, those sprites hold up extremely well. But like other fighting games around that time don't all look as good as Street Fighter 2 sprites did. For sure. But
it is a fantastic series.
It's just and like I do want to just like try and find some extra little egg bits. Like, there we go. We can talk about a couple of the Easter eggs.
Okay.
That was one thing I just figured we can talk about those like just before we leave. But some of the Easter eggs originated from in-jokes between the members of the development team. One example is Toasty.
Yep.
We talked about earlier, and that is found its way into the game from in the form of a small image of sound designer Dan Forden, who would appear in the corner of the screen during gameplay after performing an uppercut and yell the phrase
Toasty.
I can't go quite as high as Karl.
The one that I can't do though is I love that Ed Boon still does get over here.
Oh yeah,
he still does that great interview with him and Conan O'Brien. Goes, oh, it's Scorpion, right? He's your guy. And goes, oh yeah, I voice him, you know. I'm like, what? And he goes, no, I do. Get over here! And I'm like, holy shit! It's Scorpion. So Ed Boon still does it.
Like I like to think that every single voice actor gets paid the exact same, which they definitely don't. But Scorpion gets paid like one line less because he doesn't do the go.
He does though. But like, what they do is they get Ed Boon to re-record it, and then it's a rare voice line that'll play.
Oh, so there's a chance of hearing the Ed Boon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He got his money back then.
There's a chance of hearing Ed Boon say it, but everything. Like my favorite one, I think it's Mortal Kombat Mythologies or something, like one of the games where you fight Scorpion as a boss, and if you keep dodging his spear, eventually it just homes in. He says, "Get the fuck over here!" because he gets really mad about it. It's like, yeah, boy.
Oh, okay. So it says it originated from him saying "your toast." That's why it's toasty.
Your toast.
Your toast.
You're getting that toasty.
It says this egg was key. This was the key to unlocking the hidden character Smoke when it happened in the portal stage in Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah. They just put so much bullshit in, like that's how you'd fight.
Smoke. Never realised that before, but that's
because no one ever unlocked those characters. No one did it.
Well, especially when it was the arcade game you were playing. Like, just I was not, around at that time in arcades or anything, but I can't imagine how cool it must have been to like walk into an arcade and see like a character you've never seen before, like a reptile, or a Smoke, and you're like, they've never appeared in my game.
Well, that's what makes it
go back to your old arcade, and you're like, where?
Because they added reptile to like later versions, so some arcades didn't have it, which is what fueled the rumors. Because like people would say, "Oh, well,
this is how you unlock it," and then they'd go to the older version, and then
realizing,
it doesn't work. In Mortal Kombat 4, Forden would say Toasty 3D.
Yep.
After Scorpion did his burn fatality, a reference to the fact it's the first 3D game of the series.
And the fact they brought him back to do it.
And then Toasty is found in Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, appearing randomly after the character pulls off a chain of hits.
It's also in Mortal Kombat 11, but only on one stage.
Oh, right, okay,
It's on one stage, like they put in a retro stage, and if you do it on there, he does it.
It says right here as well, yeah, the picture of Fordham was removed from Shaolin Monks, but brought back for the 2011 Mortal Kombat reboot. And yet another private joke was the hidden character Noob Saibot that we talked about earlier.
Did you ever hear as well, like, before you move on from the Toasty thing, there was actually like hidden tech that no one found out until the last year of Mortal Kombat 9's like competitive scene, where when Toasty happened, if you put a special series of inputs in that was different for every character, you got 4 meter. And no one knew that was in the game, and then until one person realized, oh, if you land an uppercut, you can, like, when you get hit by the uppercut, you can end up with 4 meter and stand back up and just instantly do like a full like 90% combo.
Oh, so the person getting hit by the uppercut counts.
It's whoever enters it first.
Oh,
so both you can either get a massive advantage, or if you know about it in a quick enough, you can enter.
You can like beat them to it
and wake up with 4 meter. And no one knew that was a thing.
Oh dear.
That's the I love it. Like they put that in and then never told anyone, and it wasn't discovered for like 10 years.
So it says here, in addition to the Noob Saibot thing, a counter for Ermax on the game audit screen was like a short for error macros.
It's the famous one, yes.
That was interpreted by some players as a reference to a hidden character in the original game. So they, found their way into the back end of the game, would see a thing of like how many Ermax have happened, error macros, and they're like, oh, is that how many times Ermac has appeared? A new character that we've not like seen.
Yes.
And then the development team decided to turn the rumor into reality, introducing Ermac into Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. That's why you've got to buy the Ultimate.
Yeah, he's in there.
And that was as an unlockable secret character. The hidden character Mocap, motion capture, was introduced in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, and is a tribute to Karl who played Raiden in Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2, and has served as a motion capture actor for subsequent titles in the series.
The fact they're willing to do that.
Yeah.
And there's so many of those like examples we see, like Scarlet, the Red Ninja, is because there was a glitch where you'd get Katana and Jade's sprites mixed up and they become red. So they were like, oh, it's a red like ninja, and like, no, it's not, but we're going to put it in anyway. Fuck you.
And there's a lot of other stuff that the Wikipedia delves into, but we generally like to keep these at like a tight, rough half an hour for each segment.
Yeah, I went on a bit long with mine, but there's so much to
and yeah, so that's it for the podcast, but we are going to now do some like chatting with chat, some Q&A and stuff like that, but you do have to let us know which wiki won this week.
Yeah, so folks at home listening to the podcast or watching the video after the fact, let us know which wiki won this week, and also how much, like, you know what, if you're in the UK, why don't you check your MP and see how much they claim this year? Find out. I guarantee you that you'll be surprised.
And of course, like, you can let us know in the comments of the video, or if you're listening to a podcast version in the future when we get that live, then just reach out to us on social media or anything like that, or go and find the YouTube and see what people would think in the comments. But maybe we need to start getting on top of like doing a poll or something soon, but we can figure that out. We're not committing to that. We haven't spoken about that. I'm just throwing us under the bus there.
Yeah. But which Wookie? God.
Which Wookie won this week?
That's when we do Chewbacca's wiki page.
That's when we do a Star Wars week and we get the worst comment section.
Oh, God. So you think, which is your favourite Wookie? Mine's Lumpy. Chewbacca's son. You don't know Chewbacca's son's called Lumpy?
My favourite Wookie is the last Wookie at the opening stage of The Force Unleashed that still thinks he's got a chance against Darth Vader after watching 50 Wookiees get launched 50 miles an hour.
No, I like the wooden Wookiees from the first Jedi. No, is it Jedi Apprentice? The one that's just come out, Cal Kestis in.
Oh, Fallen Order.
Yeah, that's it. The wooden Wookiees that look like the men out of like branches. I love the wooden Wookiees. But yeah, tune in for another episode of the podcast next week, and we're gonna take a quick break and go get a drink and like stretch our legs. Or we're gonna go straight to Q&A.
I mean, we'll just give it 1 minute, so we'll go to our little banner image just for like 1 moment, and we'll be back in like 1 minute. So maybe think about a few questions for Karl and I to answer while we're taking a quick little break, and I can stop the recording of the podcast.
Cheers.